Hey guys, Josh Henkin here, again creator of the Ultimate Sandbag Core Training System, my good friend Jim Kayafa. What we're going to do today is talk about the role of asymmetrical loading. A lot of people really have still a problem looking at the Ultimate Sandbag and thinking it can be as powerful as we claim. The beauty of it is the versatility of the Ultimate Sandbag. And that's why in 2012 we're going to be speaking a lot more, not just about sandbag training, but dynamic variable resistance training. When we look at things like barbells and dumbbells and stuff, you can do some of these things very mildly. And one of the big things that we're going to be talking about is asymmetrical loading. So a lot of people go, why do I need to do asymmetrical loading and what is it? Asymmetrical loading allows the body to build stability through resisting torsion and resisting the different planes of motion. So for example, if I lunge forward and I have asymmetrical load, I have to both balance the frontal plane and transverse plane versus being bilaterally loaded evenly through the body like we mostly do in our workouts. Dr. Stuart McGill, one of the leading specialists in back prevention and performance, has said that this is one of the key things that both athletes and people need to do to be healthy and to perform at a higher level. So let's get into it. So what we're going to do is when we're introducing asymmetrical loading, you always want to start from a position of stable and then move to unstable. So Jim's going to demonstrate basically a suitcase deadlift. So in a suitcase deadlift, he's got the load on one side of his body. So in general, asymmetrical loading means load on one side of the body. Now, when you're doing this with the Ultimate Sandbag, that our single strap handle is only meant to tolerate about 70 pounds. Because of the leverage point, you don't want to try to exceed it. You're not trying to do a maximal lift. This is to basically groove and teach you how to resist deviating from one side to the other. To progress them, so once we've gotten to the point where Jim handles that very well, we're then going to increase it to actually a shoulder position. So working through the shoulder now, this is a position because it's more work for the trunk. When Jim goes ahead and squats, I'm going to watch for him deviating from one side to the other. He actually looks very good here, but you won't watch for that, or people changing their foot placement where one foot is in front of the other. That's going to show you an instability in the body. A more subtle form that Jim can do is he can actually do a crossbody. Actually, we'll go crossbody, Jim. Now this doesn't look like asymmetrical loading, but this is a more subtle variation because one side is being loaded slightly than the other. So he can squat from here. So if you have someone who has a hard time going into that true asymmetrical loading, this is definitely a good way of teaching it. We can change the position of the bag, or like Jim was going to do, we can change the position of his body. So if we go shouldering Jim, and we go into that staggered squat position, now we're not only changing asymmetrical load on his body, but body position as well. So now he's having to deal both with the asymmetrical load on his shoulder and the body position being in a staggered stance. We'll do one more, Jim. Nicely done. So actually having to load in those different postures and positions is really challenging. You need to watch people as they fatigue. However, asymmetrical loading doesn't necessarily only mean holding on one side of the body. In our rotational patterns that we do with the Ultimate Sandbag, you're also getting asymmetrical loading because the weight's starting on one side of the body. So you want to show some rotational deadlifts? So now the load's on one side and it's being pulled by one hip. So it's a much more subtle asymmetrical loading, but it's definitely following our pattern. As he gains speed and momentum, he's gaining also acceleration and deceleration in these asymmetrical patterns. If we then move finally to our rotational lunge, one of our favorite drills, Jim, we get the same type of thing. The asymmetrical load on one side of his body, but now we've also destabilized his body position by putting him in the single leg stance. So you're seeing how powerful these exercises are and why the decrease in load and the positioning of the sandbag are so important and things you can't do with other training implements. Nice job, Jim. So later on, we're going to show you how to combine this into a circuit so you can actually get the benefit of asymmetric loading, improve your strength stability, and get in great shape. So stay tuned at ultimatesandbagtraining.com.